ton of you guys watching. What are you doing, man? You're freaking me out.
He's wrapping up.
What am I going to eat, Jess?
He's wrapping up.
Maybe I get some more Tombstone. I might actually go back out to the grocery store and get some Tombstone pizza tonight. I can go over some more of that again.
Hello.
So anyways, thank you for watching. There was a lot of you in the live stream today. I really appreciate that. A bunch of you guys made donations. That was really nice. I appreciate that as well. Definitely helps out the show.
This guy never signs off. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Paul Blart just texted me. Oh my gosh, famous. So can I do a little self? Oh, go ahead. So
hey, Joey.
Oh my gosh.
Down the movie, guys.
Getting a message right in the middle of the phone there. Hello. Doing good. Doing good.
Should Greg be watching my live stream? Shame on you, Greg.
He's still going.
Check me out if you don't already. I'm up to almost 1,200 subs. Crazy because I feel like a month ago I just hit 1,000.
Wait, what are you up to now?
Like 1,200.
They never wrap up, do they, man? They just keep going and going like the Energizer Bunny.
That is it. So, okay, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for everything, guys. You guys rock. And
Go check out Crazy Joe's live stream.
Oh yeah, Crazy Joe should be starting a live stream. So
Mega
Podtastic on YouTube. So as soon as I'm done this, go check out Crazy Joe.
We're live already. What are you doing, Rick? What are you doing?
We done? We done? I'm gonna end this now. All right, guys, that was it. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Adios.
All right, guys.
Bye.
I am going to get the. Let me tune to my own channel so I can see what you guys are saying just a little more up close and personal. Give me 1 second here. Let's see my channel. And here we go. And there we go. I can see the chat now. Good morning, Mega Podlings. And how are you all tonight? Wow, already a lot of messages. All right, Mega Pod Titanic. I'm really not interested. I'm really not interested. But if everybody wants it, it's possible. Maybe we'll make that happen. But there's going to be some stipulations. We're going to have to hash out the details on how that's going to happen. But we'll figure it out. Maybe. We'll talk about it next week. I'll be in the studio with Rick and Dave next week. So we can... It's a little awkward hashing it out over chat. So... William Shatner in the chat. William Shatner's here? What the? Oh, you mean that chat. Yeah, there he is. That makes it not a chat room. It's a shat room. So, so, JT, wait, it's J2H. Okay, J2H. This is your first live stream? I thought you were here last week. Maybe I'm thinking about the Cinema Sickness live stream. Hey, Jules making an appearance. Messages coming fast and furious. So let me see if I can keep up with them. What are you doing, Jules? I got my pajamas on, too. A lot going on. Yeah, he is right behind me. My day was good, Jamel. How was yours? My Muppet buddy, Chris, who runs Muppet Stuff. Yeah, I'd like to do some stuff with him. That would be a lot of fun, Joey. I enjoyed doing that. So maybe we can make that happen. I hope that video, the Muppet Museum tour, I hope that wasn't a little too... I hope that was accessible to people who aren't Muppet fans. Like, I hope it wasn't something where it's like you had to be a hardcore Muppet fan or you're totally bored. But then again, I guess if you're not a Muppet fan, you're probably not going to click on a video called Visit to a Muppet Museum. So, but yes, I'd like to do some stuff with Chris. Thoughts on Star Trek 4 getting canceled? Okay, first of all, I have a pet peeve with calling it Star Trek 4. I do not like when people call it Star Trek 4. In my mind, it's Star Trek 14. Star Trek 4 came out in 1986. And these movies, let's not forget, these movies are not exactly a reboot. I know people always call them reboots, but they're not really reboots because they do involve time travel, and therefore they connect to the established universe that we've already seen. We got Leonard Nimoy's Spock in there, and now the Picard series that's coming in is set in the Prime timeline. that is going to actually piggyback off the events of the 2009 movie that happened before the time travel. So I like calling it Star Trek 14. As for it being canceled, I don't really believe it's canceled. My belief is this version of the movie is canceled. The version they had now was supposed to involve Chris Hemsworth coming back, Kirk getting reunited with his father. That is not going to happen because both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth walked away from the negotiations. Because, and I understand why they did. Like, I don't blame them. They were promised something in the studio, kind of backtracked. But I don't blame the studio either. I understand why the studio did it. I think we will see a Star Trek 14. But I think the studio has to go back and kind of reformulate how they're going to do it. They need to bring it in on a budget. It's got to be cheaper. So I have an idea how they could do it. I think it should star John Cho. Get rid of the entire cast except John Cho and make a movie set on the Excelsior about Captain Sulu. Call it Star Trek Excelsior. Because that way, Chris Pine's expensive, Zachary Quinto's expensive, Carl Urban's probably expensive. You're basically cutting down your cast to one guy who just proved this year he can headline a movie with Searching. Searching was a great movie. So I'm going on a rant now, and I apologize for that. But that's the way I would go, and I think they will do something. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think they're going to try to find a way to make Star Trek 14 cheaper. Because the problem was Star Trek Beyond was not very profitable, and they wanted to make another one. That's why they were trying to negotiate contracts with Hemsworth and Pine, because they wanted to do another one, but they knew they couldn't do it at the price that was set. So that is my thing. They want to do the movie. Paramount is almost bankrupt. They are in really bad shape right now. They need hits. And Star Trek, when brought in at the right budget, that's about as much of a surefire thing as they could hope for. But it has to be a cheaper movie in order to make the profit. So that was a long answer. That's what I think about the death of Star Trek 14, or the temporary death of Star Trek 14. I'm sorry, there's a lot here. I'm trying to keep up. What am I going to eat on the Batman TV tray? I don't know. Rick's son, RJ, was like, why did you buy that Batman tray? I'm like, the best answer to that question is, why didn't you buy it? I mean, come on, man. That thing was sitting there. You could have picked it up. But you let it slip through your fingers, and now it's mine. Martinez Joe says, like your pickup videos. Thank you. I don't usually do pickup videos. I don't really feel like it's my my channel, Okay, for a while, this channel had a identity crisis, but I think I figured out what my role is because of you guys, actually. Because in the comments, people mentioned, and I think it was either Boredom Strikes or Joey Baseball. I think it was one of you guys. I apologize for not remembering exactly, but someone said something about Dave is a collector and you're like a cinephile. I don't think that's entirely accurate because I think he's a cinephile too. But in terms of what the channel pertains to, I think that was a good distinction because I'm not the collector he is, so I couldn't really do a collector channel because I don't do that many pickups, quite frankly. So it wouldn't work. If I was doing that kind of channel, it just wouldn't really work. So I figured, well, what are my strengths? Well, I did a podcast for years, nominated for an award where I talked about movies. So I'm like, well, that's where my strength is, talk about movies. Let's see. What do I think of the Star Trek Black Ops series they just announced? Section 31, starring Michelle Yeoh. How do you pronounce her name? I don't know. I'm psyched. I'm very excited. I love Star Trek Discovery, and she was a great character. And I love Section 31. I've loved the idea of Section 31 since Deep Space Nine. Now, I hear people complaining that the idea of Section 31 is a little too dark for Star Trek. It's a little too dark. It's not as optimistic enough. But my answer to that would be they're already there. They were already established in the canon 20 years ago on Deep Space Nine. So it's not like this is something new. This is something we knew was there. It was introduced on Deep Space Nine. It was revisited in Enterprise. It was revisited in Star Trek Into Darkness. So it's very much a part of the canon that already exists. So, you know, why not focus a series on that when you're doing multiple series? Because that's the thing. You've got the show like Discovery, which is a ship-based show. You've got Picard, which sounds like it's going to be something very different. You can have different shows that kind of scratch different itches. So it'll either work or it won't work. And it's, you know, there's like 4 other Star Trek shows on the air, right, that are going to be on the air at that time. So if it doesn't work, it's not that big a deal, but I'm psyched to see it. New TV ads for Star Trek Discovery make it look like a comedy. I don't think I've seen those. I thought I saw the trailers, but I haven't seen anything too comedic. The only thing I saw in the Discovery trailers that was kind of comedic was there's a new crew member, like a Saurian named Linus, who like sneezes or something, but there might have been a trailer I didn't see. Now, you want to talk comedic. The latest short trek, The Escape Artist, that was very comedic. It was very, very funny. It was great. It was just great. And that is the guy who's going to be writing the comedic animated series Lower Decks. So that made me very happy. Joey Baseball says, make sure Jules doesn't knock over your new cookie jar. I would kill him if he did. But the cookie jar, there it is secure, and Jules is on the other side of the room already. J2H says, dig the channel. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cinema Man says, I like Star Trek Discovery. Definitely different, but people should give it a chance. I agree. Absolutely agree. A lot of people have claimed that it violates the canon. They're like, well, it's violating canon. It's really not true. There's different visuals. The Klingons look different. The uniforms kind of look different. But I have always said visuals aren't canon. Because if they were, then every time you replace an actor, such as in Star Trek II when Kirstie Alley didn't come back and Robin Curtis took over, that's a different visual. It's clearly a different actor playing the part. But the characters on screen never react to that, except for like Becky on Roseanne. That's like the one time that it was acknowledged, or one of the few times it was acknowledged on the show. Hey, you look different. So if the characters can't see the difference on the screen, then, and also with the makeup, with the Klingon makeup, we've seen this before. The Trill makeup changed between Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. The Klingon makeup changed between the original series and the Next Generation. So things like that don't bother me in the least. Now, if the stories were contradicting, I'd be a little more irked, but that's really hasn't been happening. Joey says, how much of the CS stream did you watch? We determined every movie ever made is now officially a Christmas movie. Okay, I caught like sort of the end of that. I didn't see how that began. I don't know where that started from. Steven, I am doing good. Steven, I got a question for you, man. I got a question for you specifically, Steven. You have subscribed to my channel 3 times in a span of 2 weeks. What is going on? You're subscribing, then canceling, then coming back? You're confusing the heck out of me. Love to have you here. Love to have you here, but I just keep getting, you know, Stephen F. has subscribed. I got like 3 of them in a row in my email. I'm like, I guess he unsubscribed and then came back. You're trying to be the 1,000 subscriber, aren't you? You subscribe, then you cancel, then you come back because you want to be number 1,000. I bet is that it? Is that it? You're trying to be like the lucky 10th caller or something? I'm just teasing you. It's fun. It's all fun. Let's see. Good. Boredom Strike says, good memory, Joe. It was me that made the comment. Yeah. I remember that. You kind of gave this channel its voice, Boredom Strikes. You kind of did it. So, but really, because this is what I do on my podcast, what I've done on my podcast for years, talking about movies, it kind of was a no-brainer that I just couldn't see. It was like, what do I do on my channel? What is my role on YouTube? What do I do? And here's the answer right in front of me, and for some reason I just couldn't see it until you like pointed it right out. Oh, wow, Jules. Right in front of the camera, huh, buddy? Right in front of the camera. Here we go. Here, oh, now you're putting your claws in me. Come on. Come on. Dude, you're right in front of the camera. Okay, look, I'm sorry, man. I'd hold you on my lap, but you got the claws out. All right, Stephen F. says, Joe, got a question for you. We have an aggressive cat and was wondering, do you know any tricks? Well, our cat is on Prozac. That's the truth. Our cat is on Prozac. Our cat was very aggressive, quite frequently attacked the dog. So twice a day, our cat takes pills. So, yeah. It was either that or keep paying $1,000 vet bills because of the, claws out attacks on the dog. Oh, Boredom Strike says, personally, I enjoy watching people that have interesting takes on things and great useless knowledge. Well, thank you. I think I do have some useless knowledge. I don't know how right I am on everything. I don't know that I know everything, but anything I tell you, I can promise you, I think it's right. If I'm wrong, correct me. I get things wrong every now and then. Quite often, in fact. Are we allowed to say the porn word on this stream? I think so. I don't know. I always, I look at it as very PG. I'll keep it PG here. You're not going to hear any F-bombs. You're not going to hear anything too off color. But if it's something that you could hear them say in a PG movie, I'm game. That's my thing. PG profanity. That's what I use in life. I use PG profanity. I used to have a foul mouth, but I won't cross PG profanity anymore. You know why? Because I'm a dad, and quite frankly, I don't want my kids hearing me say that. So I don't say those things anymore. Where were we? Only thing about the season 2 trailers, Cinema Saint Man says, why would Captain Pike and Spock leave the Enterprise to go to Discovery? Well, it sounds like from in the early trailers, they said that Captain Pike has been given command of the Discovery. So I'm guessing, and also in the first trailers, we're told Spock is missing. Spock's gone missing. So I'm assuming that Pike takes over the Enterprise or takes over the Discovery per Starfleet orders, and that number 1, his first officer, Majel Barrett from the original series, is probably going to be the temporary captain of the Enterprise. And it looks like it's from what I've gathered, a rescue mission for Spock. I'm glad they're bringing in Spock, by the way, because he's kind of the elephant in the room. It's like when the main character is Spock's sister that up till now we did not know existed, then it's kind of always been the elephant in the room of like, well, when are we going to see Spock and find out more about their relationship? So I'm kind of glad they're addressing that and getting it out of the way. This is really turning into a Star Trek chat. I hope everyone likes Star Trek. That wasn't intentional, but I guess with the news about the Section 31 show today, Star Trek's on everyone's mind. Big Kev asks, as a Star Trek fan, what are your thoughts on the Orville? My thoughts on the Orville are complex. I like the show. I watch it every week. I enjoy it. But I got one big problem with it. It's too derivative of Star Trek. They're trying very hard to be Star Trek, to the point that they're actually taking plot lines that Star Trek has already done. It's not like just, our premise is like Star Trek. We're on a ship, we're in space, we have a captain, we have a crew. You could do the premise of Star Trek and tell new stories. But they're telling stories very often that we've already seen, like they did the episode for The World is Hollow and We've Touched the Sky from the original series. They remade that, basically. They did, I think, was it Who Watches the Watchers? I think they did that episode from Next Generation. So I want to see more originality from them. I don't want them to just be a carbon copy of Star Trek. If they could find their own voice, I'd be much happier. But generally speaking, I like the show. Harold FS, do you know your jacket looks like that? Well, there's a reason for that, Harold. This is a Star Trek The Next Generation sweatshirt. I just got to zip that up. It doesn't have a pin there. You can put a pin there. But yeah, this is an official Star Trek sweatshirt. So there's, I think it has the Star Trek logo on the tag. Here, let me see if I can find it. And yes, yes. There we go. Can you see that? This is official Star Trek merchandise I'm wearing. So there's a reason. Oh, Joey Baseball says, you missed my Muppet comment twice. Hang on a second. I am scrolling back to try to catch it. See, we like Jules. Jules is a good boy. Joey said, like the Muppet Museum video, but I don't believe that having the biggest, rarest collection makes you the biggest fan. Fair enough. I do know Chris, though, and I can tell you he is quite a big fan. I mean, he does run the Muppet Stuff blog, and yeah, he is quite a fan. He and I met at RetroCon a couple of years ago, and we keep running into each other at conventions, and he's a good guy. I like him. He's a good guy. What was... I lost my place. I'm sorry. Gary Reed says, Joe, you know what's BS? Star Trek DS9 and Voyager still haven't been released to Blu-ray. And you know what, Gary? They're probably not going to be. I'm sorry to say it. Deep Space Nine is my favorite. It's my absolute favorite Star Trek series. And it's probably never going to hit Blu-ray because the Next Generation is it's the most popular Star Trek series. Star Trek The Next Generation is the most popular Star Trek series. And it's possibly, Star Trek The Next Generation, the most popular sci-fi series ever. And the Blu-rays did not sell. They did not sell. They were very expensive to make because they had to go back, the way it was shot on videotape and everything, the way the effects were done. They had to go back and remake all the effects shots in order to upgrade them to high def. It was very expensive. Robert Meyer Burnett. I don't know if you guys know Robert Meyer Burnett. He has a channel on YouTube called The Burnett Work. He was the director of the movie Free Enterprise. And in fact, he was actually live. He was live. Don't abandon me. Don't abandon me. He might be live now. Don't abandon me for him. But check out his channel. He was actually doing the special features for the Blu-ray. And I saw some of the work they were doing because I got invited to his office in LA in 2012 for a series of long and complex reasons. And they were just putting so much work and so much effort into those Blu-rays, and it was so expensive, and then they didn't sell. So all this money was spent, and then they didn't recoup the losses. So they're not going to do it again for Deep Space Nine and Voyager. It's highly unlikely they will, which breaks my heart, because I'd love to have Deep Space Nine on Blu-ray, but it just, man, it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry to say. Animated as a Blu-ray release, that's right. It does, and I own it. And the animated series was done by Filmation. I was talking about Filmation on my last video. I don't know how many of you saw that. I just finished reading this book, Lou Scheimer, The Filmation Generation. I read somewhere that the Enterprise was damaged and was going to be in space dock for repairs. On the show? It's possible. I don't know. They did send out a distress signal at the end of last season. I mean, Discovery was responding to their distress call. Cinema Man says, I would get if the Discovery still used the Spore Drive, but they said they weren't anymore. Which only makes sense, because we never heard of the Spore Drive in the later series. So, and since it's a prequel, one would have to assume that there's some reason, there was something that made them stop using the Spore Drive, so... Man, all Star Trek all the time. I apologize to anyone who doesn't like Star Trek, that is. But Star Trek's my favorite thing, so I'm okay with that. Steven says this has nothing to do with movies, but did you see the article on Yellowstone? I did not. I will make a note to check that out after the show, because if I don't make a note, I won't remember. Of course, I don't have a pen. I got something to write on, but I don't have a pen. All right, I'm going to try to make a mental note to look up Yellowstone after the live stream. Where were we? Movie Hunter says DS9 has a foreign Blu-ray release. It's possible, But if so, the special effects weren't redone. I know they didn't do that. J2H says, do all the Star Trek movies hold up? And what would be a good jumping on point? Okay, if you've never seen a Star Trek movie, probably the best jumping on points are Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which is a sequel to an episode of the original series. It's a sequel to an episode called Space Seed. If you have Netflix, just go look up Space Seed. Watch Space Seed. It's a season 1 episode of the original series. It introduces the character of Khan, and Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is a sequel to that story. You probably can go in blind, though. I don't think you need to see Space Seed to really appreciate Wrath of Khan. But Wrath of Khan is the best Star Trek movie. It's the best. So that's a good jumping on point. Another good jumping on point is probably Star Trek 4 has a wide appeal to a mass appeal, so that's a good one. I would say probably don't start with the motion picture. I like it as a hardcore fan, but it's a bit of a slog. I think if you're not a fan, that's a tough one to jump in on. And the stories, it's not like a movie series where the plot of one leads into the... That kind of happens with 2, 3, and 4, but nothing from Star Trek 2 picks up the plot of Star Trek 1. So if you haven't seen Star Trek 1, it's not like you're going to be lost. Movie Hunter says Star Trek rules. I agree. I'm trying to skip ahead a little bit here because I feel like I'm falling way behind. I apologize. If I miss your question and you really want to know, just ask it again. I'm sorry, but it's just man, a lot of stuff there. Prozac, you have a prescription for your cat? Yes, I do. We have a prescription. I give the cat his pill most days. My wife actually does it in the morning. My wife does the morning. I do the evening usually. Sometimes she does the evening too. It's really whoever can, really. Stephen F. asks, do I like any reality TV? I like Survivor, though I don't really consider that reality TV. I consider that more of like a game show because reality doesn't have a cash prize at the end. I have nothing to get Star Trek fans, but I watched it so much when I was a kid with my dad. Joey Baseball says they redid the special effects. Yes, they had to. They actually had to because the way the effects were composited, they shot the show on film, but then they did the special effects on VHS. I might be getting the details wrong. Don't quote me on this. You can look it up, though. You can Google it. There's a lot of articles that were written about it. But the way those effects were done in the 80s. Now, in the 60s, it was all done on film. It was very easy to upgrade to HD, which is why the original and the animated series were easy to upgrade to Blu-ray because they were all done on film. But the way they composited the effects using, like, VHS tape or some kind of videotape, not VHS, but some kind of high-grade videotape in the 80s... I'm not a techie. I can't give you the specifics here. It wasn't going to upgrade to HD without looking like garbage. So they really had no choice but to take the film elements, upgrade them to HD, and redo the effects all from scratch. It was really the only way to do it, to give it an HD release. Stephen F. asks, my thought on the new Star Wars collector cards. It's a lot of cards. Collector cards. I don't really collect cards, so I don't know I don't think I've seen them. And then Mike Crawford is saying what I just said. Yes, exactly, Mike. And you said it before I said it. I hadn't gotten to your answer yet, but yeah. Did David get to see the Muppet Room yet? No, I don't think David and Chris know each other. I'll introduce them at RetroCon, but I don't think they've ever met. Let's see. Gary Reed says, goodbye, Joe. I wish I had some bars of cold press Latinum for you. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Appreciate having you here. Come back next week. Well, actually, next week I'll be at Cinema Sicknesses. Come back in 2 weeks. Joey Baseball says, what's your favorite Muppet movie? Apparently liking the 2011 movie is blasphemy. I love the 2011 movie, man. I love the 2011 movie. I was giving Dave a hard time because he said it was his favorite. And I'm like, wait a minute. Jim Henson didn't work on the 2011 movie. How is a movie Jim Henson didn't work on your favorite Muppet movie? Muppets Take Manhattan is my absolute favorite. Muppet movie is probably my second favorite. I do love the 2011 movie, and even more than the 2011 movie, I like Muppets Most Wanted, the 2014 movie. Was that 2014, 2015? I think it was 2014. I love Muppets Most Wanted a lot. But yeah, no, I think if you're going to pick your favorite Muppet movie, it's got to be one Jim Henson had a hand in. Doesn't literally had a hand in. I was not going for that pun, but it was there, so you know what? I'll take it. What is my feeling about the Dark Crystal Netflix series? Jeff, very excited, but I'm a little disappointed they went with celebrity voiceovers. Like they released the cast list, and it's a lot of celebrity voiceovers. Dark Crystal, the original movie, did have voiceovers because like Jim Henson was Jen, the Gelfling Jen. That was Jim Henson. He didn't do the voice. But it was like that with a lot of the characters. Aughra. Frank Oz was Aughra. He didn't do the voice. They got a woman to dub over the voice. So yeah, they did do voiceovers on the original, but they didn't go with celebrity voices. So I don't know, something about celebrity voices on the Dark Crystal, it just kind of was like, oh, I wish they hadn't done that. But I'm still very excited. I love the Dark Crystal. I'm going to be there, ready to watch it. Jesse says Muppet Christmas Carol. That's a good one. Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island kind of are. They're not my favorites though because the Muppets are playing characters. The Muppets are playing Bob Cratchit and I don't know, Treasure Island. They're the captain, and I kind of like. It's like we get so few Muppet movies that when we do get a Muppet movie, I kind of want to spend time with Kermit and Fozzie. It's like I want to see Kermit and Fozzie and. I prefer it when they're not playing characters, but I do love those movies, so if it's the Muppets, I probably like it. Zach, Movie Collections, 1999, Melton says, what's up? What is your favorite horror film franchise? I've always had a weakness for the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Have an autographed poster of Nightmare on Elm Street 1 hanging in my garage. It's only in my garage because my wife hates horror movies and she won't let me put it in the house. But it's signed by Robert Englund, Wes Craven, the late Wes Craven, and Heather Langenkamp. And Heather Langenkamp was my first major celebrity interview on the Megapodtastic podcast. My first interview, I interviewed her twice. My first interview with Heather Langenkamp has actually been uploaded to YouTube. You can find it right on this channel if you go back far enough. I love Nightmare. And I'll tell you something, and my wife knows this. This is no secret. Heather Langenkamp, first crush as a kid. Love Nancy. Absolutely love Nancy. So, yeah. All right. I thought maybe making Megapod Titanic a 3 or 4 part event. I have some ideas. By which I would agree to do it. But we need to talk it over. How come there was 100 people in Dave's chat room and I only get 18 that carried over? Like, where? Don't get me wrong, I'm happy every one of you hears, but why didn't the other people come over? They knew I was doing it. Where'd they go? Tear rolling down the cheek. All right. I'm going to take a break from answering questions just for a minute, basically because I got to the bottom of the questions, I think. But I'm going to talk about the Killer Tomato movies because someone, I think, was it Joey Baseball? I think it was Joey Baseball. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone brought up the Killer Tomato releases in Dave's chat, so I got them here. I have them all. And we got these first 2 are on Blu-ray. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and Return of the Killer Tomatoes are both available on Blu-ray, and I have them both on Blu-ray. Put out by different companies, though. The original is put out by MVD. This is a good disc, too. I watched that when it first came out. Haven't had a chance to watch this one on Blu-ray yet. I've seen the movie many times. I love this movie. It's probably the best one in the franchise. But this one was put out by Arrow. So these are the only 2 that are on Blu-ray. But I do have the other 2. The other 2 are on VHS. First we got Killer Tomatoes Strike Back. starring Rick Rockwell. Rick Rockwell, we were talking about reality TV, he was the guy who was on that Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire show, where he was the millionaire that someone had to marry. And Killer Tomatoes Eat France, starring Family Ties Mark Price, Skippy Handelman. So yeah, these two are on DVD. And the other two are on Blu-ray. I wish these two were on Blu-ray. I'd like that, but let's face it, that's probably never going to happen. Joey Baseball says you have to shill harder next time. Shill hard. Hard. I don't know if you guys saw it, but on Cinema Sickness's channel at the Video Game Movie Dome, we were actually having like a walk hard, the Dewey Cox story walk hard. We were singing like along. We were having a walk hard sing along. Mike Crawford asks, have you picked up the Critters Blu-ray set? I haven't. I love the Critters movies. I have them on digital, and that's probably good enough for the amount of time I watch them. I've talked about this before. I know a lot of people are hardcore physical media guys, and I do love me some physical media. But I kind of go by the movie. If it's something I don't think I'm going to watch that often, I'm okay with just having the digital. Because if for some reason I didn't have access to the digital, the studio recalled it, I could always then just go on eBay and pick it up. So yeah, I do have all those on digital, but I don't have the Blu-rays for Critters. Not that I'd be against having them. I just, it's cost effectiveness. Stephen F. says, any updates on if Alf can be released to Blu-ray? We still haven't really gotten a good DVD release of Alf, because the DVDs that are out and that I own that are in my little movie closet over there are the syndication cuts. They're not even the network NBC cuts. They've got pieces taken out of the show, which is unfortunate. I'm going to get the Aqua Teen Hunger Force DVDs. Andrew Rodenbucher? Yeah, I need 2 more. I've got almost all of them. I wish they'd put them all out, because they stopped at like volume 7, and there's a lot more seasons. Or volume 8. I think someone said there's 11 seasons. But they stopped at the first, when they changed the title to Aqua Unit Patrol Squad 1. That was the last DVD release. Joey Baseball says, if they do release Alpha on Blu-ray, they need to include some Alf Pogs. He's back in Pog form. Hey, let me tell you something. It's no secret, I hate The Big Bang Theory. I'm not a fan of The Big Bang Theory at all. And I, likewise, am not a fan of Young Sheldon, the spinoff of The Big Bang Theory. Just not my sense of humor. I just don't dig them. And it kind of broke my heart. Alf was on Young Sheldon about a week ago. Alf had a cameo on Young Sheldon. And I knew about it, and I felt obliged to watch to see Alf. And then Alf was only in like the last minute of the episode. And I'm like, that was not worth sitting through Young Sheldon just to see a minute of Alf. Why couldn't the Goldenbergs get Alf? The Goldenbergs is set in the 80s. I was like, Young Sheldon's, I guess, set in the 80s. That was because he's Young Sheldon, it's a flashback. So it's in the 80s. But the Goldenbergs is in the 80s. They could have gotten Alf. He'd fit better there. Get Alf on the Goldenbergs. They got Robert Englund to reprise Freddy Krueger on the Goldenbergs. That was pretty cool. All right, where are we going? Family Ties or Growing Pains? Family Ties. No question, Family Ties. However, Growing Pains had a spin-off series called Just the 10 of Us. And who was one of the stars of Just the 10 of Us? Heather Langenkamp, whom I've already said was my first crush as a young lad. And if you listen to the interview on this channel, one of the first videos I posted going way back, my interview with Heather Langenkamp, we do talk about Just the 10 of Us. So, Stephen F. says, do you like them sock puppets that do the music videos on YouTube? I haven't seen them. I'm a big fan of Syphil and Ollie. Do you remember Syphil and Ollie that used to be on MTV? In fact, I don't know if it made the video. I I don't think Cinema Sickness shot it. I don't think it's on video. But at the Video Game Movie Dome yesterday, Cinema Sickness and I just randomly started singing Sifl and Ollie songs. So if you don't know who Sifl and Ollie are, look them up on YouTube. They were fantastic. I was such a huge fan of that show. Mike Crawford says, digital blasphemy. Well, Mike, I know where you're coming from, but you got to understand I have limited space. I just don't have a lot of space. So I like digital. I think digital's pretty good. I like physical too. My rule is, if it's something I love, something I absolutely love, one of my favorite movies, I must own the physical. Must own the physical, absolutely. However, there are movies that I'm not that invested in. Like, I always say the Police Academy movies. I enjoy the Police Academy movies. They're fun. Couldn't tell you the last time I watched one. It's been a long time since I sat down and watched a Police Academy movie. So I don't really feel a need to own a physical copy of them. The digital's fine for that. But the Star Wars movies, better believe I got the Blu-rays of that. And the Marvel and most of the superhero movies, I got them. I got them on physical. So I just think it's about, knowing. This is part of why I say this channel could never really be a collector channel like Dave's is, because I don't have the collector mentality he does. I do collect a lot of stuff. As you can see, I got a lot of stuff around me. But with the movies, my main thing is I want access to a movie. I want access to a movie. So I have a very large Vudu collection. Most of my stuff on Vudu came from, I have the disc, and I redeemed the code that came inside, or I did the disc to digital. If any of you are familiar with disc to digital, it's like if I had, okay, this is a bad example because Disney is not eligible for disc to digital, but say this was like a Paramount title. I get the Blu-ray, I own the Blu-ray, all I had to do was go into Walmart, they would like scan the barcode, suddenly for just a fee of $2, I have a digital copy of it. So yeah, I find and I have like just probably 1,000 titles that are in a storage facility, in a crate, in a bin, physical copies that I don't keep in the house because I don't feel I need access to the physical copy that often. Then I have a room full over there that is stuff that I need constant access to. So I kind of make the digital and the physical work together. They bolster each other. So, but I understand why people don't like digital. I get it. It's just a matter of knowing yourself, knowing your collection, knowing your needs and your requirements. And I think digital is a handy tool, quite frankly. Stephen FS, is there a new Star Wars movie coming out this year? Yes, this Christmas. Christmas 2019, Star Wars Episode 9 is coming out. I'm excited. It's going to be directed again by J.J. Abrams, who directed Episode 7. And it is the final chapter of the current trilogy. So there's also a couple new Star Wars TV shows premiering this year on the Disney streaming service. The Mandalorian is one of the shows that's going to be premiering on Disney+. And then there's a spin-off of Rogue One about the character of Cassian Andor from Rogue One. So there's 2 TV series and a movie all premiering this year. Andrew says, do I like Family Guy, Simpsons, and South Park? I have the first 13 seasons of The Simpsons on DVD. I believe that is all you need. I'm not a fan of current day Simpsons. I think the show's really gone downhill. I think it's barely you find a joke in The Simpsons anymore. It has really, really, really outlived itself. But the first 13 seasons, I always say the first 13 seasons I'll be honest with you, I always say the first 12 seasons. The first 12 seasons are the great years. I happened to find season 13 cheap, and I said, oh, what the heck. But I always said season 1 through 12 are the best seasons. So I own season 1 through 13. That's all I need. Family Guy, I like it. I think it's outlived itself. I like The Simpsons. I just think it's been on too long. South Park, sometimes it's really, really funny. I don't own any South Park or Family Guy on DVD, though. Joey Baseball says, do I have the set of Alf that has the Alf-shaped case? No, that's pretty new. I actually already had the full series when that came out. Geriatric Geek says, I just got the Revenge of Khan on digital on my RX. Is RX recommendation? Is that what that is? I don't know. Let me know what you think. It's a classic, I think. I've got somewhere. I think Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, is actually the movie I own the most varieties of on different formats. Over here I got the, was it the CED of it? I got that. And not that I have a player for that, but I got the disc. And over here, I hope I don't knock everything over. Over here, I have an autographed DVD signed by Ricardo Montalban, the late Ricardo Montalban. Plus, I have the Blu-ray. By the way, we were talking previously. I don't want to get it out because it's a lot of work, but we were talking about the battery a couple weeks back on this Enterprise. I've replaced it. Here we go.
From hell's heart, I stab a day.
I'm trying to get to the best line. Hang on.
Oh, my clothes. Let them eat static.
It's got to cycle through. I should have had this ready to go. I forgot. It's taking too long.
Time's up, Admiral. So, faces off target and await my command. Time is a luxury you don't have.
Alright, this is taking too long. Eventually, Kirk screams, Khan! So, yeah, I fixed the battery on that. Oh, Chris has to go. Good night, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Jeff asks, where do I get my digital content? iTunes? No. I go to Vudu. I think Vudu is the best. Vudu is connected to Movies Anywhere. It's connected to Ultraviolet. It's just, I think that's the best place to get digital content. And most of the time, it's just I'm redeeming the codes that come with the discs. Joey Baseball says, geez, you have a storage unit just for movies. How much is that costing you a month? Well, the storage unit is called My Mom's House. So it's actually surprisingly affordable. Joey Baseball says he would probably have a heart attack if you told him that you fold the artwork to fit them in those small cases. Who are we talking about? Cinema Sickness? He knows. He knows. I've told him that before. But I gotta fit them on my shelves. So I have no choice. He and I were talking about that before, though, and he was saying about how smart it would be to make thin cases that are just a little bit longer than a standard case, so you can put the art in there without having to fold it. I think it's a brilliant idea. Why someone hasn't done that yet, I don't know. But that was Cinema Sickness's idea. Joe Baseball says, I heard they were optioning the idea of negating everything that happened in The Last Jedi and that Episode 9 will take place directly after The Force Awakens. I don't see that happening at all. I really would be shocked if that happened. Especially considering, one thing to keep in mind is, although there was a very negative backlash for the Last Jedi from some fans, it was a vocal minority. The Cinema Score, if you look on Cinema Score is the only accurate way to test an audience reaction to something. The movie got an A. So the masses really liked the movie. It was the people who didn't like it are very vocal about it, but generally speaking, the movie was well received. Mike Crawford says Simpsons is starting to get a little too political. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the movie or seen the show in so long. What other adult cartoons do you have on DVD? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. I can't think. I'm really drawing a blank. Huh. Probably have some Futurama. Jerry Baseball says, not movie related, but you have a hard time finding shoes in a shoe store. I go to shoe stores all the time, but they never have a size 14. I do have a little bit of trouble. I take a size 13, which is usually the last size you're going to find in a shoe store. But it can be a challenge, especially because I'm a 13 wide. So it's like, oh, I'll find a 13 and it won't be wide enough. And Joey Baseball says, Mike Crawford says he's a 13 too. There you go. Are you a 13 wide? Joey Baseball says, well, that can be your video, a video where you play all the sounds. I probably bored half of you into a coma playing those sounds over there, so I apologize. All right, let me pull up some more stuff here. I think it was mentioned on Cinema Sickness's video that I was getting rid of the full series of Taxi, and I know Rick asked me, well, why? Or was it Rick or CS? One of them asked me, why are you getting rid of the full series of Taxi? Why are you getting rid of that? The answer is I had all the individual seasons, but I replaced them because I got this at a real cheap price. I got the full collection, which takes up less room on my shelf. So I'm like, okay, I'll get rid of the individual seasons. I also pulled something else out here, a little oddity that a lot of people probably aren't aware of because it was not a hit. It was not a hit, but I want to sing the praises of a show. This goes back to, was it 03? I guess it was 2003. When the Gulf War started, this show premiered like the week before the second Gulf War started. And as a result, that's weird. I just noticed that the barcode's blacked out. I wonder why that is. I wouldn't have done that. And I know I bought this new. I didn't buy it used. Why is the barcode blacked out? That's really strange. Anyway, this show premiered on ABC about a week before the Gulf War started, and it got preempted the following week for war footage. As a result, the ratings never kind of they never rebounded, and it died after 13 episodes. This is a show called Miracles. Starred Skeet Ulrich, and he plays an investigator for the Vatican who investigates reports of miracles, and it's his job to debunk them and prove that they didn't happen. Except in the pilot episode, he encounters a miracle he cannot explain. And this is a really good show. This is a great show. 7 of the episodes on this this set never aired. The show got pulled way too soon. They never aired 7 of the episodes. So this is a show, if you can come upon it, I highly recommend this. This is a show that should have been a hit. And I was telling you the barcode was blacked out. Yeah, I don't know what that's about because I would have bought this brand new at the time. So I don't know why my barcode is blacked out. That's really strange. So those are just some things I pulled off the shelf to talk about today. Joey Baseball says, always replace the batteries periodically to prevent acid leakage. Good advice, but easier said than done. Stephen F. says, your thoughts on The Simpsons having context in their show. Predicted stuff that happened in the... I guess you're talking about the Trump thing, how they predicted Trump would be president. That's pretty eerie. It is pretty eerie. However, he has been saying for like 20 years that someday he was going to run for president, so there is that. Joey Baseball says, I'm just shocked that a shoe store doesn't carry shoes my size. If I can't find shoes in a dedicated shoe store, where am I supposed to get shoes? Good question. Very good question. Andrew Rodenbucker asks, do I have any Nickelodeon DVDs? I don't think so. I think we have some Blue's Clues DVDs upstairs for the kids, but that's about it. Keep in mind my age. I don't know how old you guys are. Obviously, I don't know how old a lot of you are, but I know Nickelodeon really kind of became a thing, like a really big thing in the 90s. So people have nostalgia for things like Rugrats and I think Doug. Wasn't that one of the shows? Doug and Ren and Stimpy and all these shows that were just a little bit behind my time. When I think of Nickelodeon, the shows that really I remember clearly are Out of Control and You Can't Do That on Television. If they ever put Out of Control or You Can't Do That on television out on DVD, I would buy the crap out of those. Absolutely would. The barcode blackout can be a review copy. It could, but I would have bought that from like Amazon or something at the time. Very weird. Joey Baseball says I missed out on the best era of Nickelodeon. Perhaps, but I am very fond of the 80s shows. Man, I loved You Can't Do That on Television. Did they still show You Can't Do That on television in the 90s? I mean, it would have been reruns. I think 89 was the final season of the show, but were they still airing the reruns? Man, that show was great. The 90s was the best era for everything kids shows. I don't know. The 80s were pretty good. I was pretty happy with the 80s. If your only memory of Nickelodeon is Out of Control, that's all. Oh, but Out of Control was so good. We actually interviewed one of the cast members out of Control. Marty Schiff, who played Hearn Burford, was a guest on the podcast. And he was awesome. Oh my God, I would love Out of Control on DVD. He said he and Dave Coulier actually tried to buy the series back from Nickelodeon to put it out on DVD, and Nickelodeon wouldn't sell it. But they're not doing anything with it, so it's kind of frustrating. Stephen F. says, Joe or anybody in the chat room, does anyone remember a TV show called New York Undercover? I actually remember watching the pilot episode of New York Undercover at work about a month before it premiered because I worked for TV Guide, and they used to show us the new fall shows on our lunch break. It starred one of the Party of Five guys, right? Which one was it? Was it the dude who went on to star on Lost? I remember New York Undercover. I can't put all the details together, but I remember the show. I don't know where to find a DVD of it, though, unfortunately. Out of Control is hot. Oh, my gosh. You are killing me here. The Burpin' Chili Man? Oh, yeah. I'm the Burpin' Chili Man. I love that show. So much love. One of the first TV appearances of Joel Hodgson, who went on to create Mystery Science Theater 3000. God, I love that show so much. Fun fact, You Can't Do That on Television featured a young Alanis Morissette. Yes, it did. Another fun fact, the main girl on Out of Control, not Out of Control, You Can't Do That on Television for the first few years, the main character, or main girl, was named Moose. Christine, they called her Moose. She had a mohawk on the show. She had a mohawk. Her hair was a wig. And every time they slimed her, they would have to put a cheaper wig on her first so they wouldn't mess up the wig. And you can notice if you look at like the video footage of her being slimed, her hair never looks quite right because they put the cheap wig on her for the slimings. And then she had her good wig on when she wasn't being slimed. But yeah, her hair was totally a wig because she had a mohawk. And they didn't want her to have a mohawk on the show. A little bit of trivia I learned over the years. Also, Lisa Ruddy from You Can't Do That on Television. I don't know how many of you remember that name. She runs a funeral home in Canada now. These are some trivia I know here. I don't know much, but I know some useless things. So if you're in Canada and someone dies in your family, you can get Lisa Ruddy from You Can't Do That on Television to bury them. And maybe if your friends and family at the funeral say, I don't know, maybe she'll slime you. Do I have Full House on DVD? I do not. I am not a Full House fan. I don't care for Full House at all. My brother was a big Full House fan, though. Joey Baseball says, if all Dave Coulier ever did was Out of Control, his career would be a failure. I guess. That's probably true. What are my thoughts on Phineas and Ferb? Entertainment Fanatic asks. It's a great show. I really like it. Jeffrey asks how it was working for TV Guide. It was pretty good. It was pretty good until they laid me off. But I was there for about 2 or 3 years. And, all right. I am losing energy. I don't know if you've noticed, my energy level has dropped as we get later. So I am going to have to wrap this up. We have been going for about an hour. We've been going for close to an hour. I want to thank everyone for coming today, joining the live stream. I appreciate it. I really do. I hope you had fun. And, hey, you know what? If you guys have ideas of things you'd like to talk about in these live streams, if you have ideas of, like, direction you want these live streams to go, drop me an email, megapodtastic@gmail.com. And we could, or tweet at me, Megapodtastic on Twitter. We could talk about these things. Maybe we can, I don't know. What are your ideas for these live chats? Let me know. I'm open to suggestion. But I'm going to wrap it up for now. I'm very, very tired. Wow, I am I'm losing energy fast. Next week, a week from today, I will be at Cinema Sickness's house for the live stream with him and Rick. I'll be there live. 2 weeks from today, we'll be back. We'll do it here again after his. And in the meantime, thanks for coming. Keep wearing those pajamas.